Hi, welcome to the Dartarian Show. I'm Alexander Dartarian.
And I'm Dominic Sykes.
And this week we're going to do part 2 of John Wayne Gacy. Last week we couldn't post that the John Wayne Gacy part 1, so we're going to post both of those this week.
Yeah.
But I did the Goat Man last week.
Yeah, I was sick, so I didn't get to, unfortunately, do that one with you. But I also haven't had a chance to listen to it. I will do that pretty soon, though.
It's not that long. And actually, I enjoyed doing it, although I am getting sick now.
Yeah, I'm just getting over it, and figures you're getting sick. So.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and do this part 2, so we're doing it differently than most true crime podcasts I've listened to personally. A lot of people go through and detail everything in his life and go all the way up through his kills and everything in detail from the perspective of the killer. We're gonna do it from the police.
Yeah.
The investigation.
Yep.
So we're going to do a timeline of the investigation. So in part 1, we discussed John Wayne Gacy's childhood and some of the triggers that may have helped shape the monster he was, as well as his first assaults and murders. This part, we will discuss in detail the murders, arrest, time in prison, and execution from the police perspective.
Yep.
So we put together a timeline to do all that. So 1975, which was not his first kills. So
no,
this right here is the investigation.
This is basically from the police's perspective. Basically, when the police first started
noticing.
Yeah.
So 1975, searching for John. Teens in the Uptown neighborhood tell Chicago police a man named John cruises the area in his car, picking up young men. He is John Wayne Gacy.
No, yeah.
Police don't know yet, but he is.
That's what they're trying to tell him.
Yeah. Officers observed dozens of young men going in and out of Gacy's house in unincorporated Norwood Park Township. They stop many of them for questioning, but none say anything against Gacy.
So those are ones that he just ended up having sex with, and consensual sex, I guess. But obviously he let those ones go as he did with Rick.
Or, he did own a company, so, he may be...
That is true, too.
Yeah, maybe they didn't fancy him. In January 1976, officers stake out Gacy's house. Suspecting Gacy might be responsible for the disappearance of a 9-year-old boy, the Chicago Police Youth Division runs surveillance on his house, just east of O'Hare International Airport, though it's outside their jurisdiction. Ooh. They're not able to build a case against Gacy.
So at this point, they're starting to be like,
Yeah,
this guy there's something more going on with this dude than what we think. In March 1977, there is a sexual assault claim. 27-year-old Northsider Jeff Rignall, which we talked about in the first part, says Gacy enticed him into his car by offering him marijuana before using chloroform to render him unconscious. Rignall says Gacy then drove him to his house, handcuffed him, as we talked about also in the part 1 about how his MO works, and sexually attacked him before letting him go. A $3,000 civil suit was settled in the case, and Gacy was also charged with battery, which is a misdemeanor. At the time, Rignall writes the book 29 Below about the experience. So if you ever want to hear about his point of view,
which is a great fucking book,
right.
You need to read it.
Right. If you want to see it from his point of view, you can pick that up and read it.
Yeah.
December 31st in 1977, he was seized, then freed. Gacy is arrested by Chicago police after a 19-year-old teen from the north side says the man kidnapped him at gunpoint and forced him to engage in sexual acts. The police report shows that when he was taken into custody, Gacy admitted engaging in the acts with the youth and the brutality, but denied the teen was an unwilling participant. An assistant state's attorney decides not to prosecute Gacy. Why is beyond the hell out of me, but they decide not to prosecute him at that point.
It's the gay thing. That's what it is. They can't get past that.
He admits to the sexual acts. He admits to the brutality of the sexual acts. But
he left out the gunpoint and everything.
Yeah, he pretends like it's consensual.
Yeah. December 11th, 1978, honor student disappears.
And this is the important one.
Yep. Robert Peist, a 15-year-old sophomore at Maine West High School, prepares to end his shift at Nissen Pharmacy on Tula Avenue in Des Plaines around 9 p.m. So he didn't even work for him.
Mm-hmm.
So His mother, Elizabeth, arrives to pick him up and drive him back to their Des Plaines house to celebrate his 46th birthday with his family. This is John Wayne Gacy, not
Her 46th birthday.
Oh, it's her 46th birthday. Sorry, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So this is Elizabeth, his mother.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Peace mother.
Yeah, okay, cool. Pice, however, tells his mother to wait a few minutes because he has to see a man about a construction job that pays $5 an hour.
Which at the time was probably quite a bit.
Yeah, nearly twice what he was making at the drugstore. He was not seen alive again.
Mm-hmm.
So after waiting, Elizabeth Pice becomes alarmed and drives back to her house. She returns to the area with her husband, Harold, son of Ken, daughter Carrie, and the family's 2 German shepherds. Their search turns up nothing. At 11:29 p.m., Elizabeth Pice arrives at the Des Plaines police station to file a missing person report for her son. So, he does $5 an hour, which in the 1970s, I guess would be like 15.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had previously met Gacy and Gacy had mentioned the job
Gacy came in to the pharmacy and was talking to him
and said, "Hey, I've got a construction job available for $5 an hour."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Wow, that sounds pretty good,"
That's
and
the way what I'm making here.
Obviously, after that point, he abducts him and kills him. But from the police points of view and from the mother's point of view, he just goes into the drugstore to talk about this job and just never comes out again.
Well, I think he was at the drugstore already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he went into the drugstore and never came. Well, obviously he had to come back out again, but
yeah, I think he left with them. I think he got a ride with them or something.
Yeah, he left with him, and obviously he was gone after that. December 12th, 1978, police want to question Gacy. Lieutenant Kozenzak, whose son attends the same high school as Peace, so this is another important little tidbit, insists on an in-depth investigation. So as soon as he finds out, hey, there's a kid in the same school as my kid, and he's gone missing, I'm going to make sure that he gets found.
Yeah.
He learns Gacy, whose PDM contractors had recently remodeled Nissan Pharmacy, was the man Peace went to speak to about a job. Gacy is asked to come to the police station for questioning. At 11 p.m., Gacy calls Kozenzak and asks, "You still want to talk to me?" "Yeah," Kozenzak responds. "How long do you think it will take to get out here?" "About a half an hour," Gacy says. Kozenzak waits until 1 a.m., but Gacy doesn't show. Police later learn that after the phone call, Gacy goes to his attic, takes the body of the Peace Boy, and moves it into the trunk of his car. He drives south of Joliet and dumps the body into the Des Plaines River. December 13th, 1978. Gacy's denial leads to the police's search. Investigators later discover Gacy's car was towed out of a snowbank at 2 a.m. on the Tri-State Tollway north of Ogden Avenue, about 38 miles north of where Gacy would later say he dumped Peace's body. Records from the tow truck company help authorities determine within an hour the time Gacy disposed of the used body. At 3:20 a.m., Gacy walks into the Des Plaines police station with mud on his pants and shoes. He asks to speak with Kozenzak, but is told to come back later. He does not return and gives officers a brief statement. Kozenzak asks Gacy for the keys to his house, showing him a search warrant. Gacy protests, but surrenders his keys. Inside the house, police and Cook County Sheriff's Office evidence technician discover a receipt for a roll of film being developed. The Peace family says the receipt belongs to a female friend of their son. Peace offered to have the film developed for her. They seize other items from inside the house, as well as Gacy's car, van, and a pickup truck to be searched later. No other items related to Peace are found, besides the receipt, but police conclude Peace was at some point in Gacy's house. Gacy, twice married, twice divorced, and currently living alone, is released from jail around 11 p.m. So as you can well tell, obviously it's completely and totally frustrating the fact that they have him multiple times.
Yeah, and just think about this. At this time, he has like 20, over probably high 20s of bodies hidden within his house.
Quite a few.
And they didn't find them during that search. So, I mean, so right now they've only found a receipt, which at best in court is circumstantial.
Yeah. All they can prove is that Peace was at one point either in the house, and that even then they could just say that he had picked it up off the ground even
Yeah.
after his conversation with Peace. So it's hard to
Yeah.
it's hard
And
to
mud,
do that.
and I mean, and he wrecked.
Obviously,
Okay.
we who after this is all said and done and did the research can see this and be like, okay, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's a circumstantial. You need a little bit more than this, but
Yeah.
December 15th, 1978, police find items linked to young men. One day after police placed Gacy under arrest, Gacy under around-the-clock surveillance, which is pretty much when
They're watching him constantly.
he's a point of interest. At Maine West High School ring police retrieved from the home is linked to a John Cizik, a youth missing for 2 years. So, it was a Maine West High School ring, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's basically like the rings that you get.
Yeah. It's a high school ring.
Yeah.
Yep. The same day, a Gacy employee tells police that two former employees had disappeared.
At this point in time, if you're a detective on this case, you have
Everything's
got to
stacking
be
up.
like, hey, whoa, wait a second.
Yep. And so, kind of like Robert Peist was the first domino for Gacy.
Yeah.
Like, everything's going to start crashing down
Yep.
now. In December 19th, 1978, lawyers file suit against police. Gacy invites two police officers inside his house for breakfast. Both smell the odor of death.
Mm-hmm.
Gacy lawyers file a $750,000 civil rights suit against the Plains and its police department, charging the officers for harassing their client with illegal searches and seizures and destroying his reputation with their investigation.
Which I think is rich. Yeah. In December 20th, 1978, police finally learn of his prior convictions. In 1968, obviously, he pleaded guilty to one charge of sodomy of a teenage boy while he was living in Waterloo, Iowa, and was sentenced to 10 years in prison, which, of course, he only served
18 months.
18 months of, and was paroled in 1970 and allowed to return to Chicago to serve his parole, which ended in 1971 in October. December 21st, 1978, Gacy was arrested, and the first bodies were finally found. While under police surveillance, Gacy is seen handing a package containing marijuana to a gas station clerk. Gacy is followed and then arrested. So that was kind of like the excuse.
Yeah, they needed an excuse to pull him over. If it wasn't, because weed is, I know it's illegal where we are now, and it's legal in a lot of states.
Mm-hmm.
So if weed was legal for him to have and to give out to people and shit, they would have found something else to pull him over for and arrest him.
But that was just the excuse that they used. Police are told Gacy has already admitted to his lawyer that he committed maybe 30 murders. With Gacy in custody, Des Plaines Police and Cook County Sheriff's Office investigators obtain a warrant and again enter Gacy's one-story ranch-style house. Police accuse Gacy of holding Peace there against his will and threaten to tear up the floor to find the teen's body. Gacy denies Peace is there, but says he was forced to kill a man in self-defense and buried him under the concrete floor of his garage. Now, this was his first kill.
Mm-hmm.
This was the defining moment.
Yeah.
He leads investigators to the garage and with a can of spray paint marks the place on the floor where the body is buried. Police also discover a trapdoor to the house's crawl space where they find parts of at least 3 other bodies.
All right. So giving up that first kill, the first kill is always important.
Yes.
So him giving it right up at the I don't think that person was the first kill.
You know?
Because usually your first kill, you save one kill for yourself, and it's usually your first one because they're chasing that high that first kill gave them.
Right.
It's kind of like they're heroin addicts.
Yeah, and they
when you take heroin,
constantly have to go above and beyond.
Yeah, you have to kill more,
fix.
and there's also like Ted Bundy when he went through that berserker stage near the end, like his last in Florida, when he killed
it's also what gets him
a
caught.
shitload of people at the end. Yeah, the berserker stage. It's not doing it for them enough. Like I said, someone on heroin, they get that first high, and it's great. Mm-hmm. And their next time they're just chasing that high again because they can't. They'll never feel like that again.
It's addictive.
Yeah. So, in December 22nd, 1978, Gacy confesses. In a rambling verbal statement lasting several hours, Gacy tells police he has killed 32 young men after having sexual relations with them. He talks of himself in the third person, saying that the slayings and sex acts were committed by Jack or John. He says he buried the bodies of 27 victims on his property. 29 would be discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them in the crawl space. 5 other bodies, 4, would be found by police, including, this is his statement, but the police only found 4, including that of Peist, were thrown into rivers south of Chicago. He draws a diagram showing where the bodies are buried and gives names of 6 of his victims. Gacy is charged with Peist's murder, though the youth's body has not yet been found at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they found it later, but
they did.
Okay. December 23rd, 1978, thorough search begins. As Gacy is moved to Cook County's jail, Cermak Hospital, his house is dismantled and the search for his victims continues. Papers, wallets, and other properties of missing Chicago area youths, including 19-year-old John Sessick and 17-year-old Gregory Gottsick, are found inside his house. An anthropologist and a dental expert are brought to the house to help with evidence. And for those who aren't familiar with an anthropologist, it's a bone. Someone who studies the human form, bone-wise.
After they've been deceased, obviously.
Yeah, and dental expert. Parents of missing boys from as far away as London parents of missing boys far as from London.
Yeah.
Across the ocean, call in in an effort to learn the identity of any victim.
And that is an extremely important thing. Now, when they have a investigation, even after they catch the killer, right? It is a race to discover the identity of the victims, because the killer isn't always going to be able to identify every one of the victims. And even if they can, by memory, identify every single victim that they kill, the police have to double check it.
Yeah.
So, and in a lot of cases, it's especially before DNA evidence, it's extremely hard to be able to place or to be able to figure out who those people were, and it's important because it brings the family closure.
Yeah, and that's so sad. Calling in because your child's missing,
just to figure out if they were one of the victims.
Yeah, and being a parent, you're like, I hope that they're not. Mm-hmm. I hope they're still out there alive and stuff. But like when you hear it, it's heartbreaking, but it does bring closure to you.
Yes, one way or another, as sad as it is, and it is horribly devastating. It does bring closure, because at least then you know.
Yeah. Discovery of a red light and a police radio in Gacy's car leads authorities to surmise he might have posed as a police officer to lure unsuspecting victims into his late model black Oldsmobile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically one of the many ways I'm sure that he lured people in.
Yeah, and there's been serial killers out there who have been cops and that have used this exact thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Basically, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, 1978, holidays halt all work. Business cards say Gacy is precinct captain, so they basically discover some of Gacy's fake business cards that say that he is the precinct captain, which I'm sure is part of what he used to lure people in.
Yeah.
And police guard the site as hundreds of people drive or walk by the Gacy house. Curious bystanders.
Looky-loos.
Yeah. Investigators learned Gacy was a precinct captain in the Norwood Park Township Democratic Party organization. So that obviously we and our listeners from first part already knew this, but the business card for John Wayne Gacy, Democratic Precinct Captain of Norwood Park Township, right, is basically what it said. December 26th, 1978, 9 victims are recovered from the property up to that point. 8 so far from the crawl space in the northeast quarter of the house, in an area under the office where Gacy conducted his remodeling business. Police tie the death of Frank Landingen, whose naked body was discovered in the Des Plaines River at Channahon in Will County on November 12th, 1978, to Gacy. So they managed to link Frank to being one of Gacy's victims.
Yeah.
December
Go ahead.
27th, 1978, 8 more bodies are discovered. So 15 of the 18 bodies found to date, right? The most link to one person in the Chicago area history have been removed at this point from the Gacy property. Police are aided in recovering their bodies by a diagram they say was prepared by Gacy. Several of the victims had men's bikini underwear stuffed inside their mouths, while others had ropes around their necks, indicating that they'd been strangled.
Yeah, and that's also a very, very strangling and stabbing is the most contributed to sexual killing.
Right.
Because the knife indicates penetration.
Yep.
Yeah, and then strangulation
Power and control.
Power and control. So, so he did, like you were saying in the first part, he was a strangling killer.
Right.
So that was his M.O. December 28th, 1978, 4 bodies found, onlookers abound. 21 bodies found to date, but none found on Gacy's property have yet been identified. Gacy, who initially confessed to investigators, refuses to further discuss his case.
Yeah, for some reason he just decided to clam up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been open with them up to that point, but why? I never understood
It
that.
still gives him that power. It gives him I'm not going
see.
to tell you.
Gotcha.
I have power over you.
I have control over how much you know.
Yep. Crowds and broadcast news crews and trucks gather outside the house daily. It's a big story for Chicago.
Yep.
Right now, he has the most.
He's made history.
Most of anybody in Chicago, which is kind of weird because do you know who one of the first American serial killers was based in Chicago as well?
H. Holmes.
H. Holmes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he had quite a few bodies coming out of that hotel. December 29th, 1978, as Cook County Chief Medical Examiner Robert Stein says there's evidence more bodies are buried under the house, fewer than 24 relatives have been contacted by police in an attempt to identify victims. Gacy, however, can't be charged in the deaths of these victims whose bodies are found on his properties until they are identified.
That's another reason why they're rushing to figure it out. Who's who.
A national toll-free hotline is established for teenage runaways and advertise family and friends that they are safe in wake of Gacy case. So
I doubt very seriously they feel very safe.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's to let the teenage kids
we
call
finally,
and to let their parents know that they are okay without telling them where they are.
Right.
So that was a big thing. Like, that also, hey, call your parents.
Yeah.
Don't let them worry that you might be dead from this dude.
December 30th, 1978, authorities reveal identity of first body taken from Gacy's house. 3 at this point are identified. As the death toll climbs to 29, with workers continuing to dismantle the house. There's 29 bodies so far found in this house, this one house.
Well, 29 bodies so far. It adds the ones.
That's right. Dental experts announced the first body found on the Gacy property belongs to 18-year-old John Butkovich, which, as you remember, is one of his employees.
Yep.
Butkovich worked for Gacy before vanishing August 1st, 1975. His parents said their son went to Gacy's house that day to collect money that he said that Gacy owed him. While being questioned by police on December 21st in 1978, Gacy led officers to his garage and showed them where a body, later identified as Butkovich, was buried, and the body was exhumed the next day. Authorities also announced the body of 20-year-old James Mazzara of Elmwood Park, missing since the prior month, was also pulled from the Plain River on December 28, 1978, and positively identified. He was found in the same area where Frank Landigan's body was found on November 12th. Gacy told police several bodies could be found at the juncture of the Des Plaines and Kankakee Rivers south of Joliet. Experts meet with Cook County's medical examiner to compare 27 sets of dental charts created after examining the upper and lower sets of teeth from each victim, against the 12 sent in by relatives of missing young men. So that's another reason that hotline was so important.
Yeah.
They identify 3 more victims, marking 6 total identifications as of this date. Gregory Godzik of Chicago, who was 17 when he disappeared. John Cizik of Chicago, 19. And Rick Johnston of Bensonville, 17, who was last seen June 8th, after his mother dropped him off at a concert. Investigators believe the delivery of charts for comparison may be slow because parents are reluctant to admit that their sons met with Gacy, kind of like a shame type deal, which is another big issue.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Chicago Metropolitan Clown Guild holds a news conference to say Gacy's penchant for playing Pogo the Clown has caused other clowns in the Chicago area to lose bookings because mothers are afraid to have clowns near their children, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure many people who follow the Gacy case knows that he never actually killed anybody as his clown persona, right?
Confirmed.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. The clown thing, the killer clown thing, He says he never dressed up as a killer clown, but like I said, that's his word. I mean, he may have dressed up a clown. It's speculated that he did not, and that they questioned him several times, and he said he didn't. But like I said, I mean, who knows if he did or not.
Right.
January 3rd, 1979, Gacy interviewed. Authorities meet with Gacy, who assures them you have all the bodies. 27 have been recovered in his property, and 2 more have been pulled from the Des Plaines River near Joliet. Gacy says each of the victims, residents of Cook County, was killed inside his house, and it was only after the crawl space under his house became crowded and that he began disposing the bodies in the river. He also describes how he killed the first person inside his bedroom on January 3rd, 1972, by stabbing him. And I talked about this also last episode.
Which is it kind of leads me to believe that even if it was kind of not really, self-defense, it is different than what his MO is. He doesn't
absolutely
stab his other victims.
This one was an accident.
Right.
He reportedly says it was a youth he picked up at the Greyhound bus station in the Loop. Investigators find a large blood stain on the underside of his carpet in the bedroom. In 1986, the victim is identified as a 16-year-old Timothy Jack McCoy. But the body still being sought is that of a 15-year-old Robert Peist of the Des Plaines.
Which, again, is
bullshit.
Right.
They have all these other people.
29 other people, and they're
and all they're fucking caring about is Robert Peist. I mean, yes, he's important. He is a victim. But you got 29 other people, and you're just like...
We have to find Peist.
Yeah, we have to find Robert Peist. The only person whom Gacy is charged with murdering. So they haven't even charged him with any of these other victims.
Yet,
just
no.
Robert Peist. Investigators say Gacy admitted to the previous month that he had killed Peist and threw the body into the river.
Right.
Peist's jacket found inside Gacy's house. The down-filled coat is found exactly where Gacy tells investigators to search, under the flooring in the laundry room. It's later confirmed by Peist's relatives that it had belonged to him.
That would be so devastating.
Yeah.
And January 6th, 1979, 4 bodies currently identified and 10 are known. Michael Bonin of Chicago, 17, last seen alive June 3rd. Robert Guillory of Chicago, 18, last seen alive September 15th in 1977. His father, Robert, is a Chicago police sergeant. The Guillory family lives 4 blocks from the Gacy's home, but no link between the two could be made.
Goddamn.
Yeah. John Prestridge of Chicago, 20, last seen alive March 15th, 77. His grandfather, Ira, tells reporters his grandson came to Chicago to visit a friend and had found work with a Chicago contractor. Russell Nelson of Cloquet, Minnesota, 21 or 22, one or the other. He was last seen alive October 17th in 77. He's the first victim from outside of the Chicago area to be linked to Gacy.
Yeah.
His mother, Norma, says her son came to Chicago with another young man to work for, again, a Chicago contractor. January 7th, 1979, Missing Persons Databank was created. And this is important also. Estimating the department received up to 20,000 reports of missing persons, about 14,000 of which were juveniles. Each year, Chicago police announced that the agency will create a computerized program to help investigate cases of those who have been kidnapped or killed. Police say the decision to computerize the missing persons records was made as a result of the Gacy case. So
it probably should have been made before.
Way before that, and this wouldn't happen, yeah. It won't, however, eliminate the problems that overlapping police jurisdictions cause, since Chicago and the suburbs do not work closely together or share much information.
Which is bullshit again. January 8th, 1979, Gacy indicted. State seeks death penalty.
Yeah.
Which they...
Yeah.
Gacy is charged with the murder of 7 young men and the felonies of aggravated kidnapping, deviant sexual assault, and taking indecent liberties with a child. Cook County State's Attorney Bernard Carey says Gacy can get a fair trial here and opposes any effort by defense lawyers to move the trial to another county. January 9th, 1979, another identification linked to Gacy. A body recovered in June 1978 from the Illinois River just 3 miles from where Frank Landingen and James Masala's bodies were found, it's identified through fingerprints as Timothy O'Rourke of Chicago.
January 10th, 1979. Gacy's plea? Not guilty. Charged with the murder of 7 young men, Gacy pleads not guilty, which
I found
already
a shit ton of bodies
not
in
only
his
did
house.
They found it, but he confessed. Anyway, he pleads not guilty in front of Judge Louis Garippo at what is now the Leighton Criminal Court buildings in Chicago. The charges include murder while committing another felony, which is a capital offense.
He literally just pulled the Shaggy.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
So stupid. January 27th, in 1979, 2 more bodies were identified, so far 12 known. Using dental charts, experts identify John Mowry of Chicago, 19, who was reported missing September 25th in 77. He just completed 18 months with the Marines when he returned to Chicago in 77. His sister Judith was murdered 6 years prior, and that case remains unsolved to this day.
Yeah, it wasn't Gacy.
Right, but that's if you're a parent, your daughter gets murdered, now your son gets murdered, that would be awful. Matthew Bowman of Crystal Lake, 18, who was reported missing by his sister on July 5th, 1977.
March 9th, 1979, 28th body found on Gacy's property. Skeletal remains bearing a wedding ring on the ring finger of the left hand are dug up from beneath the driveway area, a location not marked on the rough diagram Gacy provided earlier to the police.
So they're starting at this point to find bodies that were not confessed to by Gacy.
March 16th, 1979, which means that meant more to them, more to him. March 16th, 1979, 29th body found, 32 now tied to Gacy. Skeleton is found in the mud below the floorboards of an addition to Gacy's house. March 17th, 1979, 11th body identified. Dental charts reveal William Carroll of Chicago, 16, is a Gacy victim. The youth, with a penchant for getting into trouble, disappeared on June 13th, 1976, his older brother's birthday.
That sucks. April 9th, 1979, finally, at last, Peace body is identified. Believed to be the last of Gacy's victims, police had evidence in Gacy's car and home tied to Peist. Gacy confessed to dumping Peist's body in the Des Plaines River and was arrested for his murder, but Peist isn't positively identified as a Gacy victim until dental charts and x-rays confirm it. Now, real quick, I'll interject here that we have been flipping back and forth between Peist and Peist.
It's pronounced.
For us, it's tomato.
Yeah. Also, Dom, you're from Colorado. I'm from Virginia. Yeah. I mean, we may have different pronunciations of people's names.
So
regarding
if you hear
that.
us flipping and flopping with pronunciation,
Peist and Peist, it's
nothing.
I say Peist, he says Peist, whatever.
April 10th, 1979, Gacy's house is demolished. With the Illinois Supreme Court refusing to allow further delay, the Gacy house is razed by county workers. April 11th, 1979, the 16th body is identified by X-ray. Randall Reffitt of Chicago, 15, is not identified by dental records by an X-ray. Taken at Wees Memorial Hospital after previously suffered a stab wound. Can't talk tonight.
He got a whole, not even a wound, he got a whole room of stabbings. Yeah.
Suffered a stab wound. His body had been removed from the crawl space under Gacy's house December 25th. Christmas 1978.
Yeah, Christmas 1978. That would be horrible just to find someone's body. April 23rd, 1979, he's indicted for 33 murders. Already under indictment for the murders of 7 youths, Gacy is indicted for an additional 26 by a Cook County grand jury, at 33 total. It's the largest number charged to one person in the United States history at that time.
Which I'm sure Gacy is extremely proud of.
Yeah. May 21st, 1979, 17th body identified. William Kindred of Chicago, 19, is identified through dental charts supplied by his mother. He had last been seen February 16th, 1978. His girlfriend, Mary Jo Paulus, I want to say Mary Jane, Mary Jo Paulus, whom met Kindred, when he picked her and a friend up while they were hitchhiking on the north side in July 1977, reported him missing, which is a really big thing in the 70s is hitchhiking.
Yep.
June 17th, 1979, auction called off. Items not needed as evidence, including stereo equipment, furniture, tools from the remodeling business, and a collection of clown heads, are scheduled to be sold at the Kane County Fairgrounds. It's an attempt to get funds to pay Gacy's legal team.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yep. The auction, however, is called off when Gacy's attorneys realized it would take place on Father's Day. Gacy's belongings would stay in storage for 15 years, with then Attorney General Bernard Barris filing a lawsuit to recoup the costs of warehousing them before Gacy's 1994 execution. Gacy's cars, including the 1979 Oldsmobile used to carry the body of at least one of his victims, are apparently sold at an April 1980 auction in Winnebago County, which also featured vehicles owned by Muhammad Ali, Elvis, and former President Gerald Ford.
People go crazy for buying stuff that even if it's like a serial killer, you know, be like, oh, this is the lamp made by Jeffrey Dahmer from people's skin. People would legitimately spend a lot of money to buy that.
Oh yeah. There's museums.
Yeah.
Like there's this guy that has the largest serial killer memorabilia.
Yeah.
Museum. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'd go
it's
see
history.
it. I'd go see it.
July 23rd, 1979. Sheriff releases descriptions of personal items. Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Investigators list distinctive items in an attempt to identify the victims, so kind of trying to get
it's so people knew who they are.
So, starting with clothing, an army green fatigue jacket with Duke sewn on the left front and the outline of a 1st Cavalry Air Mobile Division patch. Brown frontier-style fringed leather jacket, size 38. Black quilted nylon jacket splattered with white paint, dark red or maroon shirt with silver threads, blue jeans with cloth stars sewn on as decorations, watches, necklaces, belt buckles, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
August 28th, 1979, there's the first trial. The judge in the case grants a defense motion to combine the 33 murder indictments pending against Gacy. The tentative trial date is set as January 7th, 1980.
September 12th, 1979, 2 bodies identified, so 19 so far are known. Vanishing days apart in 1977, with their remains being found side by side in the center of the crawl space, are a 20-year-old father and a 16-year-old son of a college physics professor.
So did he get them both at the same time, or did he get the father and the son separately, do you think?
No, he was a 20-year-old father. Like, he was a father and a
So it wasn't necessarily his son?
No, it wasn't his son. No,
Okay,
the 20-year-old was a father, and the 16-year-old was a son of a college physics professor. I'm sorry if I read that wrong.
No, you're fine. I kind of took it wrong. Go ahead.
Tom Bowling Jr. of Chicago, 20, who disappeared on November 18th, 1977. Bowling and his wife Jolie, have a 3-year-old son, Timmy. Bowling's sister says that he's using drugs all the time. So, okay.
I guess they're using that as an excuse for why he was murdered.
Yeah,
I don't understand shit like that.
I don't understand why they have to make an excuse. He was murdered. He's a victim. It doesn't matter what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Robert Winch of Chicago, 16, who disappeared November 11th, 1977. He had been in trouble before and vanished after running away from a foster home. His father is a physics professor at Kalamazoo, Michigan, where Winch had lived before moving to Chicago. Winch is identified by his distinctive tiger's eye belt buckle and markings on bones that had been broken in an accident and then healed. So, and that right there comes from court records.
Right. October 24th, 1979, the county pays for Gacy's defense. So, though the exact amount has not yet been determined, Judge Garippo rules Cook County taxpayers will pay for Gacy's attorneys, which is fucking bullshit.
It's the law.
I know, but oh my god, that pisses me off. Sam Amirati and Robert Mata, who say they have run out of money and are more than $2,000 in debt.
Amount of money.
November 14th, 1979, another Gacy victim identified, Samuel Stapleton of Chicago, who's 14, is identified by an earlier x-ray of his head that includes outlines of his teeth. He disappeared on a walk home from his sister's house on May 13, 1976, and his mother and stepfather reported him missing the next day. His parents knew Stapleton might be dead almost a year earlier when the medical examiner's office showed them a bracelet found on one of the bodies under Gacy's home.
Yep.
So there's that closure.
November 16th, 1979. Identification brings a total of 21 known victims. On what would have been his 21st birthday, David Talsma of Chicago is identified through x-rays of his left arm as a Gacy victim whose body was discovered in the house's crawl space. Talsma was reported missing on December 14th, 1977 by his father. January 7th, 1980. Jury to be chosen in Winnebago County. Trial in Chicago. After Gacy's attorneys request a change of venue, Judge Garipio rules the jury 12 regular jurors and 2 alternates will be chosen in Rockford and be sequestered to Chicago for the trial, which can happen.
Yeah.
Garipio says this plan saves Cook County the expense of moving prosecutors, defense attorneys, court personnel, and witnesses for what is expected to be a lengthy and costly trial.
Mm-hmm. January 26, 1980, Gacy rushed to Rockford. Under extraordinary security measures, Gacy is transferred from Cook County to an isolated area on the 3rd floor of the building next to the Winnebago County Courthouse prior to jury selection. February 6, 1980, the trial begins. Due to the graphic nature of the testimony and evidence to be presented, Judge Garippo bans anyone younger than 16 years old from the courtroom. Defense attorneys hope to convince the jury that Gacy is not guilty by reason of insanity. Prosecutors want Gacy sentenced to the electric chair.
March 12, 1980. Guilty. After 5 weeks of testimony from psychiatrists, police, neighbors, acquaintances, and family members of the victims, a jury takes less than 2 hours to convict Gacy of killing 33 young men.
Yeah, it wouldn't take me long either.
Yep. March 13th, 1980. Sentenced to death. Parents and relatives of Gacy's victims break into applause. It is announced around 6:30 p.m. that Gacy has been sentenced to die. Judge Garipio sets an execution date of June 12th, 1980, but the sentence is automatically stayed while the case is appealed to the Illinois Supreme Court, which is normal.
Mm-hmm.
March 14th, 1980, transferred to death row. Under heavy security, Gacy becomes the first inmate imprisoned at the new downstate Menard Correctional Center. He's the 23rd man in Illinois to be scheduled for execution.
March 29th, 1980, 3 more victims identified, bringing the total of known victims to 24. Childhood friends Kenneth Parker of Chicago, 16, and Michael Marino of Chicago, 14, both disappeared October 24th in 76. They're identified through dental and radiology charts. Investigators believe the 2 may have been killed at the same time because they shared a common grave under Gacy's house. Mm-hmm. Daryl Sampson of Chicago 19 is also identified by police as a Gacy victim. So in April 2nd, 1980, they link more personal effects to the victims. Unable to sort out which items inside the house belonged to Gacy and which belonged to the victims, police display a variety of cufflinks, jewelry, clothing, cigarette lighters, watches, and pocket knives at a sheriff's station in Niles, and hope to get some more identification from that.
March 15th, 1980, Gacy's lawyers quit. Pursue book deal.
I would too.
Yep. Sam Armoranti and Robert Mata, who were each paid $44,424 for their work defending Gacy, withdraw from the case and bill the county $57,603 for expenses. The circuit court judge clears the way for Amarante and Mata to be paid for their contributions to a book, movie, and television deal. July 1st, 1980, Gacy's judge quits.
Nobody wants to deal with this crap.
Judge Garippo resigns from the bench after almost 12 years as a Cook County judge to enter a private practice.
Do you think it took a mental toll on them to have to deal with that crap?
It may have, but I don't think that the lawyers or judge can sell their life rights without and still work.
Right.
Because if that's the case, then if you're a judge for like 20 years, you can sell your life story. You could sell like every case that you've ever heard. Yeah, and there's this one judge in California who like had 3 serial killers come before him.
Yeah.
You know, like that right there. Oh my God!
TV deals, movie deals, book deals.
Which means that's my opinion. I don't know that for sure.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that's why they have to quit in order to make profit off of them.
Right. July 14th, 1980, an artist reconstructs unknown victims. In a plea to families of missing young men, Cook County Chief Medical Examiner Robert Stein releases images of facial reconstruction expert Betty Pat Gatliff's models of the 9 unidentified victims found on Gacy's property. Stein had appealed for dental charts of missing youths, but only received about 200 of them. Stein also encourages families reluctant to identify his son because of fear he might have been homosexual to remember there is no evidence that an individual child had here participated in any sexually deviant practices. June 12th, 1981, laid to rest. So 9 donated brown caskets adorned with wreaths of yellow mums and daisies lay in a semicircle outside Abbey Chapel of Oak Ridge Glen Oak Cemetery during a short service to honor the 9 unidentified Gacy victims. Each one of them was buried in a separate cemetery with its own graveside service and marker inscribed, "We remembered."
Oh, sweet. August 1982, Gacy paintings shown, sold at Illinois State Fair. 6 paintings created by Gacy, including one featuring the 7 Dwarves, a desert scene, a mountain ranch scene, portraits of circus clowns, and a portrait of a Native American chief, are among the 500 pieces exhibited at the fair by prison inmates. 4 of the works sell for between $20 and $45. The money is used to provide inmates paints and other art materials. So, I've seen some of these Gacy paintings. They're okay. They're not the best paintings in the world, but
right.
I mean, June 6th, 1984, Supreme Court upholds Gacy's conviction. The court affirms Gacy's March 12th, 1980 conviction for 33 murders and upholds the death penalty.
Yep.
In a 17-page opinion, the court rejects all 39 issues raised by Gacy's lawyers, including arguments that Gacy, although he admitted to the killings, had been prevented during the trial from adequately proving his insanity.
Real quick sidebar here.
Mm-hmm.
I could never be a defense lawyer for a killer. Ever. Especially going into it knowing that person did it.
It's the same thing. It's a job. You got to do it.
I know, and I understand that.
And you don't have to believe that he's guilty. I mean, not guilty. They weren't trying to prove that he was not guilty of killing.
He was guilty by insanity. I couldn't do that either. I would say no. Send him to the electric chair.
No.
33.
See, that's what
children.
I don't think. I don't believe in the death penalty.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. For one,
I don't. Again, that's probably kind of a political standing, but we differ there for 100%.
Yeah, I think that it's not punishing them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not punishing them. If you kill them, their life's over. Okay,
I see what you're saying.
Because I don't believe in hell, so right. I believe they're not going to be punished after they die.
So you basically think
they should be
scot-free, basically.
Yeah, you're just letting them out easy.
I see what you're saying.
July 24th, 1984, Gacy's property sold. Hone Savings and Loan Association purchases the vacant lot for $30,544.01. The amount owed on 2 mortgages held by the association, back taxes and other costs.
March 4th, 1985, appeal by Gacy denied by the U.S. Supreme Court. In a 6-2 decision, with dissents by death penalty opposing Justices William Brennan and Thurgood Marshall. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Supreme Court denies Gacy's appeal. The justices refused to reveal the previous year's Illinois Supreme Court decision that upheld Gacy's death sentence, and it means he must pursue his appeal again in state courts and, if necessary, in lower federal courts in order to escape execution.
And that's why it also takes so long for executions to take place, because you have like 6 appeals, I think.
Yeah, and you got to go through all of those and then still... go before the Supreme Court, and even then, it's crazy.
Yep.
May 1986, the earliest victim identified, and 8 still remain unknown. So there's another one. There was 9 before when they did that service, but now they found another one. Timothy Jack McCoy was just passing through Chicago when he was approached by Gacy at a Greyhound bus station in January. In 1972, McCoy went back to Gacy's home, where he was stabbed in the chest and buried in the crawlspace. Again, this is his first murder.
Yep, his first murder.
McCoy's distinctive teeth helped Dr. Edward Pavlik, an Olympia Fields orthodontist and chief of forensic science for the Cook County Sheriff's Office, to determine McCoy was Gacy's first victim.
June 15th, 1988, ground broken at site of Gacy's former house. The 24-inch tall weeds and empty bottles and cans that litter the 60 by 144-foot lot at 8213 West Somerdale Avenue are cleared to make way for a new 2,300-square-foot house. The location also gets a new address, 8215 West Somerdale Avenue. May 10th, 1994, executed. With all his legal appeals exhausted, Gacy dies following a lethal injection of chemicals at 12:58 a.m. at Stateville Correctional Center near Joliet. His last meal includes fried chicken and butterfly shrimp.
And that ends our timeline.
And all this timeline right here, it's from the Chicago Tribune.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys want to look that up.
Yeah, if you want to, we're citing our sources here. The Chicago Tribune is the website that we use to find this information.
Yeah, so that was the timeline as investigators saw it in court records also.
Mm-hmm.
33 bodies.
Yeah.
I think he killed more.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. Now, so obviously,
and they still have yet to discover those 8 people.
Are you sure? I think I read somewhere that they had found some more recently, or not recently, obviously, but more recently than.
No, there's still 8 that have never been identified.
Wow.
Yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But with John Wayne Gacy, he during his imprisonment, right? He had a girlfriend.
Right.
For some odd reason, there's women and men who are extremely attracted to serial killers to the point where they I guess they think they can fix them.
Maybe,
yeah. Like, oh, he's bad, but I can fix him.
Yeah.
You know, or
he won't be like that when he's around me.
Yeah, like maybe he's a super attractive, or he's only killed men,
right?
So he won't kill me. But anyways,
well, if that's her point of view, then maybe she would think.
But she goes and visits him in jail, right, and brings her son along. Her 16 to 17-year-old son, yes, because he wants to meet him. You know, he wants to like that. And this kid does not like this relationship at all. He does not like John Wayne Gacy and stuff.
Kid's got a sixth sense.
And I'm citing the documentary that I saw.
Right.
He literally was like, well, this killer, I can't remember what killer he said, but this killer had 40 something,
right,
or like that. And he was like, oh, well, I had more.
Oh,
I did more than that. Like they only got me for 33, but I got way more than that.
That's another thing that I had seen too, is that Gacy changed his story several times.
He also takes that's a big thing with serial killers. There's some serial killers that say that they killed a lot more than they did, and there's also some serial killers that don't admit to all of them.
Right,
they save some from themselves.
And there are some serial killers that take credit for other killers' work as well.
Oh, the biggest one,
O'Toole.
And
Peter O'Toole and
not Peter O'Toole, that's an actor. Otis O'Toole.
Otis O'Toole.
Yeah,
sorry.
Otis O'Toole and Henry Lee Lucas.
Were the
Henry Lee Lucas is known as the confession killer.
Yeah, and we talked about that during our Adam Walsh episode, which
still hasn't been posted on YouTube.
We haven't posted that one yet.
I posted it, but they took it down.
Aw.
I don't know why.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. If not, I'll put it up on the on Spotify. Which kind of sucks. I really worked hard on that video.
Yeah.
But anyways, with that, Henry Lee Lucas, he took credit for 600 murders, and there was murders that he couldn't even do.
That's weird. I never
understood
that.
He was only convicted of one murder.
Then why in the hell is he?
Because they want. All right, we'll talk about him later because I want to do an episode on him.
Yeah.
And but the fact that John Wayne Gacy they've actually found 33 bodies and linked
Yeah.
all of them to him
Yeah.
is rather remarkable.
And as we
considering the
discussed
fact
before,
that
is
most serial killers' victims
and
aren't
I'm
found.
not saying I'm obviously not a detective. I'm not saying that I could do a detective's job by any means, but I am saying as a objective, person on the kind of side and looking at stuff, it seemed to me that there were several times that they could have caught his ass and prevented a lot more killings
Yeah, absolutely.
and didn't.
And it's homophobic.
Yep.
The homophobia and just pure incompetence.
Yep.
That's what got John Wayne Gacy the victims he had. If they literally would have looked for the first person.
I still think that if it wasn't for the cop that smelled the odor of death in his house in the first place to start things kicking off and the Robert Peace thing, he might have gotten away with all of it because he confessed to his lawyer, but I don't think his lawyer would have said anything about it.
He can't legally.
Unless the investigation called for it. You know what I'm saying?
No, not even then.
Yeah.
You can know. If you go...
That's bull. I think that's urban legend, isn't it?
It's not.
You're sure? Because I think that if
it's client
yes,
privilege.
but there are limits to that. Because like with psychiatry, if you are a psychiatrist and you feel like your patient is going
That's not the same thing as a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. If as a priest and a psychiatrist, if you believe that they are going to harm themselves or harm someone else, you have to tell police.
Right.
As a lawyer, no. You cannot tell anybody what your client tells you.
I'm pretty sure,
it's a
didn't I
breach.
see that
It's
in
a
the
breach of
documentary
privilege.
that didn't the lawyer come forward and say something too?
No.
Didn't they use him at some point during the investigation? Are you sure?
Unless he quit before, no, you can't. Like when you tell your lawyer something, that lawyer cannot tell the cops. It's the lawyer's job to protect you from going to jail.
I was going to say because I couldn't.
Because if he told him, for one, then it's a breach of client lawyer privilege,
right? And
he could sue him. And two,
he did try.
It's inadmissible in court.
Yeah,
they can't take it.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, your lawyer.
I guess I need to study
your lawyer
more on law.
And your wife cannot.
Yeah, isn't there like a episode of Downton Abbey where they talk about? Well, that's
a TV show. Yeah, no. If you're married, your wife cannot force your spouse
against you
to testify against you.
I think that's a myth too, though.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% positive.
I need to.
Your spouse cannot testify against you.
I feel completely unintelligent when we have these kind of discussions because I learned all
I
this
may
stuff
be
in
wrong.
school,
I may be wrong about the lawyer thing. If you guys know, the darktarianshow@gmail.com, send it in. Let us know. I'm 100% sure on the spouse, though, at least in some states.
Hang on, I'm looking at it now.
Googling it now?
Yeah. I have to know.
But, yeah.
Okay, so under U.S. federal common law, the spousal testimonial privilege is held by the witness spouse, not the party spouse, and therefore does not prevent a spouse who wishes to testify from doing so.
Yeah, but you can't be forced.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
right,
you can't be forced.
Spousal testimonial privilege, in other words, only lasts as long as the marriage does. So if you're divorced too, obviously.
Yeah. So if you're divorced, you can testify against, and they can force you.
But yeah, that was our
that was
John Wayne Gacy.
Part 2 of John Wayne Gacy. The first part's not that long, but this one was pretty good. Like I said, I liked that we went through the investigation instead of the killer's perspective.
It probably could have been done in one part, but we kind of want to do the first part as an introductory part, and also because we weren't sure how long the second part was going to run.
Yeah. But like I said, serial killers fascinate me. Why they do everything that they do. Oh, by the way, he did lose a girlfriend. I don't know if I finished that story.
No, I don't think you did.
Yeah, the girlfriend left him because she believed that he didn't do any of it.
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
And he was telling her that he didn't do anything. He was framed.
Yeah.
And then when her son was like, well, I did like that, and he's like, well, I killed more. He was bragging and stuff, and she was just like, well, you told me you didn't do it.
Exactly.
So she left. But yeah, I mean, with Richard Ramirez, there was I follow someone on Instagram, right? The show does follow someone on Instagram that loves Richard Ramirez. Like they think he's the sexiest thing on earth.
Right.
And I mean, to each his own, I guess.
Some people.
I mean, he's dead now, so
died of cancer in prison.
Yep. And like I said, I think John Wayne Gacy got off too easy with the death penalty.
Yeah.
Especially lethal injection, which is like the most humane way to die.
Right.
Actually, no, that's untrue. Lethal injection is not the most humane way.
Really?
Firing squad.
You think so?
Yep, instant kill in the heart. They shoot them straight in the heart,
What
kills
if they
them
miss,
instantly.
though?
They're marksmen, and they're only like 10 feet away. They're not that far away. The most humane way to kill somebody is literally just take them out back, have them kneel down, and shoot them back in the head.
Well,
it's
they
bad.
Can still survive it.
No.
How many people have you heard
with a
of?
hollow point?
I don't know, but how many people have you heard of that have tried to shoot themselves in the head and just barely missed a vital part that kept them alive, and they had to live the rest of their life with freaking just a disfigured face or whatever because they didn't hit that vital spot.
That's usually when they put it in their mouth and it bounces out.
Yeah,
your skull's extremely hard.
Yeah,
but if there's a place in basically what you do is you take a .22 revolver or pistol or whatever, and you put that right behind their ear, and you squeeze it off, and it pops. And with a .22 bullet, it doesn't pierce the skull, so that's why you have to do it behind the ear so it can get in there. And basically, it just bounces around your skull, scrambling your brains.
Why the hell don't they just use a high caliber then?
Why? They don't want to do that. They want the bullet to bounce around and scramble your brain to kill you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway. It's usually untraceable because .22 ammo is the most common ammo.
Right.
But so follow us at the Dartarian Show everywhere you can get. We got TikTok, everything else. At Dartarian Show at Twitter, and email us at the Dartarian Show. Next week we're going to do urban legends. We're going to do another state because we haven't done that in a while. I don't think we haven't done one this season.
I know it's kind of exciting to kind of be going back to that, but that I think is going to do. We're doing Texas.
Yep, Texas. Urban Legends, Texas.
Yep.
Texas. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week with Urban Legends.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.